Hello everyone, I am J.Sibi Chakaravarty, Assistant Professor of English, K.S.Rangasamy College of Arts and Science. Today we are going to deal about Introduction to Literary Theories. Literary theories is probably the most important aspect of English literature, not only for English literature, for any literature by the mean. I am going to give you an overview about literary theories, not any particular literary theory. So, in general, literary criticism means criticism, the word itself defines, criticism is criticizing something about giving the both advantage as well as the disadvantages. So, literary criticism also does the same in literary works. For an example, we take a novel or a short story or a poetry for that matter to analyze a particular context in a different way. For an example, we can use feminism, Marxism, cultural materialism, psychoanalysis to interrupt a literary text. By this, actually, we can get more number of meaning to understand a particular text, which will help us eventually to understand about the society and about the people too. Throughout the years, many writers has given a lot of inputs or insights about literary text, especially of novels. With the emergence of novel, right from Samuel Richardson's Pamela till now, we have n number of analysts, critics who have given about their inputs about various literary works. We have two major functions of literary criticism. Any literary criticism has two major functions. The first one is to analyze and evaluate a literary text. As I said already, literary criticism is used to understand a literary text in a better way. The second point here is it gives the general examination of a literary work along with the social consigns. For an example, in new criticism, we do not need to take any society or author's background for that matter. Whereas in Marxism and feminism or psychoanalysis, we need to have the social background and also we need to understand the person's mentality to understand a literary text. So these two are very important components to analyze a literary text. That's what literary criticism gives us. So M.H. Abrahams, a very famous linguist, who has given in the work The Mirror and the Lamp that literary criticism is an element of analyzing a text. So which means he tells that without literary criticism we cannot understand any literary text. And he also gives four important aspects about literary text. The first one is the work itself. Second one is an artist. We need to understand here very carefully. Work actually has everything within itself to explanation, which in simple words we can understand it is self-explanatory or autotelic, as the new critics says. The second point here is the artist who creates the work. Here we need to understand a writer is more important. We can come across Roland Barthes as a structuralist or a postmodernist who says that death of an author. We can understand, we will come back to all those points later. And the third here is the universe or the nature, which is very important. Without the setting, we cannot have a story. To write any type of story, we need a setting. So nature or universe or earth plays a major part here. Point number 4 is the audience here. We can correlate this with reader response criticism, something like that, or something which is related to the reader. Reader are more important assets of any literary work. Without a reader, a literary work cannot succeed. The point here is, this slide shows that the importance of or the emergence of literary theories in the 20th century. We can name it as a modern age or whatever the name we want to. But this particular age is quite important to understand literature and to understand society. We in India are just an output of British laws and their culture too. Since we are occurred or occupied by British for almost 300 years of time. So this literary theory states that 20th century literary theories had multiple phases actually. It has a changed view or vision in 20th century. That's what given in this particular PPT. Next one. Yes. To start with the 20th century literary theories, we need to go through formalism or Russian formalism for that matter. Formalism actually it analyzes the form of a text. not a text entirely, but the form of a text. This particular literary theory actually marks the beginning of a difference of literary theories. Before that, right from 15th to 19th century, the literary theories or the criticism has been in a stereotypical way. But whereas in formalism, people tend to, or they were opened up to understand the form of a literary work more than the story, or more than the history of a writer or about the society. This actually marks the beginning of new century. We can understand in this way. Next one. So this particular slide shows that neo-criticism or practical criticism or formalism, all these three literary theories go hand on hand to understand about our literary text. The most important factor about this particular neo-criticism is John Crowe Ransom actually and Kenneth Brooks. Both are the very important components or exponents of this particular literary theory. Neo-criticism is more of close reading actually. We need to understand, or we need to remember this word, close reading. Neo-criticism perpetually wants to make a statement that we need not to understand about anything else apart from a text. As I said already, literary text is self-explanatory. It is autotelic. We need not to go through, go across a lot of things to understand a literary text. We need not to look at the history of an author, or about the background of his life, or about the background of the society to understand a literary text. That's the major thing. Previously, till 19th century, it was said, right from Socrates to Plato, Sidney, everyone has told us or informed us about, we need to understand about the background of an author to understand a literary text. Whereas here they have emerged into a new ideology, new thought process of understanding a literary text, which actually marks a very important point in the entire career of literature. So yeah, please. Yeah. Along with John Crowe Ransom, Robert Penn Warren, Kenneth Brooks, all made a very important contribution. To mark with here, I.A. Richards has given practical criticism actually. It actually marks the beginning of practical criticism, a new age of theories for that matter. Yes, the next. Yeah, the very important works of neo-criticism are the Well-Wrought Urn, and as well as the neo-criticism in 1941, which actually given the name neo-criticism. Before that, it has been a very new thing, but it was named in such a way. Then after the emergence of the neo-criticism written by John Crowe Ransom, to be precise, J.C. Ransom, in 1941, he has given us a new name called neo-criticism to the entire audience. We need to understand that they actually do not want the old literary tradition to come again and again to be the same kind of stereotypical methods. They want to change the entire pattern, so that they have given close reading and autotelic means. So they have given a new sense of literary energy to the entire society. Next. The next type of criticism is sociological criticism actually. It is a broad classification, not a particular classification. Just like formalism and neo-criticism, these are all very particular classification, whereas it comes to sociological criticism, it is a broad classification. Any form of literature requires a setting, people, their politics and their lives. So this is sociology actually. We are a social animals, as Aristotle said earlier. So we need to understand a literary text can be analyzed or should be analyzed in a social way. For an example, we can take Pariyerum Perumal or the movie like Star. So these kind of movies has a very closer connect to the society. They give an exact thing of the exact reality of what happens in the society. Especially in Pariyerum Perumal, the director speaks about what happens with caste discrimination in the south of Tamil Nadu actually. So these kind of realistic portrayal is required to understand the society. A person from Coimbatore or a person from Delhi or a person from London cannot understand what happens exactly in Tirunelveli, a place like Tirunelveli. We need to understand, or it is a creator's duty to project in such a way. Still, caste discrimination exists. So these kind of things is being portrayed through literature. For an example, if we take A Tale of Two Cities for that matter, or War and Peace by Tolstoy, everything is an exponent of social criticism actually. So we need to understand sociological criticism is quite important, especially in fiction. Fiction becomes a visual fiction these days. The next. With sociological criticism, we have two major literary theories actually. One is feminism, as we all know, and second one is Marxism. Marxism has age-old theories actually, which is relevant even today. Marxism speaks about class discrimination or distinction of class segregation, whatever the name we call, but still class prevails an important role in literature, in society, and even in politics too. So for feminism, it has a very good legacy right from the old days. Women wanted to express themselves. They have their own life. They do not want to be called a weaker sex or a second sex for that matter. This entire society is being very patriarchal and biased about women. So that's the basic concept of feminism, and they want their empowerment to be proved in front of everyone. We are not slaves, or we are not a second sex to anyone else. It cannot be discriminated in such a way. These are the kind of aspects spoken in feminist criticism. And the second thing is Marxism, as I said early. Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels in their Communist Manifesto and Das Kapital, which is very important to understand, especially for the youngsters. They have to read these two books to understand what we are of, what is capitalism and what is imperialism, how labor community is being completely discriminated again and again. Especially in the movie Peranmai, the actor Ravi has given a clear description, especially those dialogues from director Janathanan, but still it was visualized in such a way. He gives a clear concept about how actually a capitalist grows, how a labor is being completely discriminated time and again over the years. We are in 21st century, but still we are witnessing these kind of issues, but these need to be addressed as early as possible to have a very equal society, as Thomas More's Utopia says. So yes. So feminism has a very long history. A woman needs to be independent. That's the main motto of feminism. We have a number of people who have spoken about feminism. For an example, Simone de Beauvoir, Virginia Woolf. So everyone has spoken about feminism. It's a very important and critical concept to be understood, especially of the male gender of this particular society needs to understand about the needs and suffrages of other gender. So with speaking feminism time and again, we can make an equal society. So that's the major motto of feminism. And we are in the fourth wave of feminism, to be precise. We have 4 waves of feminism. We have already seen the 3 waves of feminism. Every feminism waves has a different kind of rights to things actually. The first wave of feminism wanted their education. Second, they wanted their right to vote. And the third, they wanted to be educated. And now they have multiple problems. A female has multiple problems even in the 21st century, which means the modern era, even we can call it as a postmodern era, but still they have a lot of problems to be addressed. So these kind of things are being portrayed even now in various movies. We can witness in various movies, and we have a lot of literary works. So work like Beloved, The Purple Color. So these kind of works are being speaking about feminism time and again, which means still it needs to be addressed. The purpose of studying literary theory is not only to understand about a literary work, but we need to apply it in our practical life. So writers like Kate Chopin, Catherine Mansfield, so these people have given a number of theories about feminism. So post-colonial feminism, they have black feminism. We have a lot of feminisms to be spoken, but still we need a lot of change to be done. Next. Here comes a very important theory as far as I concern. Without Marxism, we cannot understand any politics for that matter. These two people, Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels, will live till this earth lives actually. The problem here is the capitalist being deprived the labor community time and again. That's the matter here. We need to understand this in a broader sense. Capitalism and imperialism go hand on hand to actually enslave these kind of people. Next. As I said already, in India we have caste discrimination, but in abroad they have three classes: upper, middle and lower class. Even in the work written by D.H. Lawrence, The Lady Chatterley's Lover, it was being precisely explained by the writer. It was that particular book was banned because upper class married woman is having an illicit affair with a lower class man. So that's the problem here. So we can understand there is lot of class conflict even prevails now. Even in abroad countries they exist. So that's the main aspect of Marxism. Next. So next literary theory is psychoanalysis. Psychology plays a key role, especially after 20th century. In the 21st century, we have a lot of stress, depression. We have a lot of names to describe that. We have a lot of psychoanalytical things. But it was started with Sigmund Freud, who was an exponent of this particular literary theory, and he speaks a lot about interpretation of dreams, and he has given about id, superego and ego. He wants to understand how complex our human mind is. Actually the most complex part creation of this particular earth is nothing but human mind. Actually it is quite complex. He wanted to understand it in a better way. Sigmund Freud wanted to understand in a better way. He has given a lot of theories about psychoanalysis. To be precise, we need to understand one particular thing, in his work Interpretation of Dreams. He says how dreams comes, actually why dreams are very important. Actually dreams are quite important for us to live a peaceful life, because all our desires and greed and our vengeance, grudge, everything can come out through dreams. So dreams are quite important. That's what he points out. So psychoanalysis it starts with his particular theories. The next one. Yeah. So it is called Freudian concepts. Since it was termed by Sigmund Freud, it is called Freudian concepts. He speaks a lot about psychosis, actually how a psyche works and how a person thinks in this way and why he is not. In personality, there is a theory that it states that our characters and behaviors are because of two important factors. The first one is it's about our genetical. 50% can be our genetical, and the next 50% should be external stimuli. Actually it comes from our environmental things, the atmosphere we have. That's why friends are quite important, our relatives are important, what the way we think is quite important. So this actually makes a man, right? So that these are the important concepts given by Sigmund Freud in his initial days. Later it was altered by Carl Jung, his disciple. Actually we will see in the next slide too. Next. So it is an famous concept of understanding human mind, id, superego and ego. As we all know, we have a lot of desires and we have things to stop that too. We will at times we will think that yes, I like this, so I want to do, and one more time we will think in this way, so it could be bad or it would hurt others, so we need not to do all these things. So these kind of things, our thought process comes because of all these things. Human is generally a very unstable kind of creature created by universe or God, whatever the name we understand. It's all about the opinions of others, but still human has a very complex mind, as I said already. It is because of these kind of things. And there are three levels of brain. He segregates brain in three levels: id, superego and ego, and everything has its own journey to do with us. The next. In continuation with psychological criticism, mythology comes. Actually myth is an old art form our great grandfathers used to tell us. We know, everyone know a lot of stories in common. It is quite amazing to understand all these things. Actually our great grandfathers has said the same kind of stories to entire generation. I know, and my father know, and my great grandfather know, and my next generation will also know the same kind of story. It is called archetypes. Actually archetypes is nothing but we have similar kind of people or similar kind of characteristics lives everywhere in the world. To be precise, they have a lot of narratives in Russian folklore. They have told that there are different types of narratives and narratives for that matter. In similar to that, archetypes has its own area of understanding and definitions about this entire world. It says that we have only 9 kind of stories do revolve in this world. We cannot go above that actually. So archetypes is a very important and interesting literary theory to go through. If you people are very interested to understand archetypes, please go and read a lot of books and watch a lot of YouTube videos about all these things actually. Yes, the next. Yeah. Yes. So we have our mind is, as I said already, as Friedman Freud stated, we have id, superego and ego. In similar to that, we have conscious, unconscious and subconscious mind, as we all know. Generally, a public audience will know all these things actually. This mythological approach is being stated as collective unconsciousness. We all remember certain things. We all have some kind of feeling like hunger, just like love and tears, emotions. We all have. It is quite incredible to understand how it has been created. To understand this, Sigmund Freud has given psychoanalysis in that he has given collective unconscious. That's the name. Collective unconscious defines itself. Unconscious is being we all know about something else without knowing that we know that. The term collective unconscious defines it is an unconsciousness of a collective people actually. It is a cumulative people. We all understand or we all go through a certain kind of things and we all understand a certain kind of things in a certain way. So that's quite incredible about nature and universe. The next. Yeah, and I understand it's a quite lengthy lecture. Here in this particular PPT, I have given you a few examples for archetypes. As I said already, archetypes is nothing but similar characters do exist in the world, right? So people will be comic, people will be very anger, people will be quite wicked, people will be very joyful. So these kind of characteristics we do see in day-to-day life. We do connect with others by having similar kind of like-mindedness. So that's the kind of thing we need to understand about archetypes. We have a lot of things. We have a story quest everywhere. For an example, we take a movie. If it is an historical movie, the kings will be fighting for their land. If it is an romantic movie, lovers will be fighting for their love. If it is an revenge movie, a person will be killed or a person will be tortured in some way. The hero will go and take revenge of him. This is an old template actually, but still it works. Even in Roman Senecan tragedies, these kind of things existed. Even in the modern day movies, these kind of things existed. So the template is similar, quite similar, and we are trying to add some kind of things, flavors to it. That nothing but this is archetypes actually. The next. So we have scapegoats. Scapegoats are quite common in our friend circle too. We actually generally we will portray a person as a bad person in front of others just for fun. So these kind of characters are being created even in the Greek mythologies too. And we have hero, villain. This is a quite an stereotypical way of narrating a story. In every story there is a hero and in a villain. In literary terms, a protagonist and an antagonist. This is quite stereotypical, right? So the next one is outcast, temperedness, mother and father, friends. So everything is quite similar. In a story, we need all these characters. We need a hero, we need a heroine, we need a friend, we need an antagonist. So we need a family, we need a friend circle, we need a setting to work for. So these are all quite common. That's what we call it as a template. So this is called archetypes. We have seen an overview of literary theories. It is important to understand and get learned these theories in detail to clear net set or for any competitive examinations who goes through English literature. Thank you for watching.